My roommate vanished, but left behind a journal that shouldn't exist. I'd been living with Jason for 8 months when he disappeared. We weren't close. Not really. He was one of those Craigslist situations where you shake hands, split rent, and agree not to touch each other's almond milk. Quiet guy. Law student. Always had earbuds in. Always smelled faintly of sandalwood and old library books. He paid rent on time, washed his dishes, and mostly kept to himself. Ideal roommate, honestly. Until the day he vanished. I came home from work and found his door open. That alone was weird. Jason never left his door open. He was private to a fault, the kind of guy who put a lock on his side of the pantry. But that day, the door was wide open, and inside, nothing. Not just clothes and books, nothing. Bed stripped, drawers empty, closet hollow. Even the picture frame he kept on his desk, the one with the black and white photo of what I assumed were his parents, was gone. It was like he'd never lived there. I checked the shared spaces. His shoes by the door? Gone. Toothbrush in the bathroom? Gone. Mug collection? Gone. Except for one thing. On the kitchen counter sat a leather-bound journal with my name written on a sticky note attached to the cover. For Alex. In case I don't come back. I stared at it for a long time. The note was in his handwriting. Slanted, crisp, overly neat. Like someone who rewrote birthday cards 3 times before mailing them. I didn't open it right away. Instead, I did what any semi-rational person would do. I called him. Straight to voicemail. I texted. No reply. I waited an hour. Then 2. Then I knocked on our neighbor's door and asked if they'd seen him. Nothing. No one had. Not that day. Not the day before. One of them thought they saw him jogging 3 days earlier, but wasn't sure. I called the university. They told me he hadn't shown up to classes all week. Said it was unusual, but he hadn't officially dropped out. Something was wrong. I finally opened the journal around midnight. The first entry was dated 2 months earlier, and it started with one sentence. I think something's been pretending to be me. That line set off something cold in my chest. I'd expected maybe some kind of confessional, like Jason had debt, or a secret girlfriend, or was terminally ill and didn't want to tell anyone. But that? It sounded like something out of a horror subreddit. I turned the page. It started small. A few weeks ago, people at school began waving to me when I hadn't seen them. A professor thanked me for staying late to help her reorganize. I'd never been in her office. A girl in my criminal psych class said we talked about our favorite horror movies last Tuesday. But I was home Tuesday. I watched 3 episodes of Fargo and fell asleep with my laptop open. I thought I was losing it. I even bought one of those apps that tracks your location history just to prove I wasn't going out and forgetting it. But then the app confirmed it. I wasn't there. I wasn't anywhere. It gets worse. I felt like I was holding a live wire. The next page had a date and time scrawled across the top in thick marker. March 18 to 2:43 a.m. I woke up to the sound of the microwave. Just a soft beep. I thought maybe you were up late again. I was going to yell at you for making ramen at 2 a.m. But when I peeked out into the kitchen, I saw myself. Standing there. Shirtless. Same scars. Same hair. Same face. It wasn't doing anything. Just standing still, staring into the microwave like it was a window. I didn't move. I just watched. After about 5 minutes, it tilted its head. And then it said, in my exact voice, "You shouldn't be awake." I slammed the door shut and locked it. Didn't sleep. The next day, I checked the microwave. The door was open. A cup of water sat inside, lukewarm, like it had been waiting for something that didn't arrive. I stopped reading. There were goosebumps on my arms. I remembered that night. March 18th. I had made ramen that night, but it was around 11 p.m., not 2. And Jason's door had been closed the whole time. Or, I thought it had. I kept reading. I think it's testing the boundaries. Seeing what it can get away with. People are starting to prefer it. I got a text from someone thanking me for an amazing conversation at a bar I didn't go to. When I told them it wasn't me, they laughed and said, "Okay, Jason, if you say so." My friends are slowly replacing me with it. I flipped ahead fast. The entries got darker. Pages were scribbled out. Paragraphs crossed with giant X's. One page just said, over and over, "It's learning faster than I can document it." Another, "It knows I'm watching." And finally, the last full page, written in jagged handwriting that barely looked like Jason's anymore. If you're reading this, it means I lost. Do not trust anyone who thinks they've seen me. Do not believe any message unless it was written by this hand. If it tries to move in with you, run. You can still stop it. But only if you understand. It doesn't want to be me. It wants to be someone else now. I slammed the journal shut. My phone buzzed. A new text. From Jason. Hey man. Back in town. Got your message. Mind if I crash at the apartment tonight? I stared at the screen for a long time. The message had come from Jason's number. But that meant nothing. Spoofing was easy. I'd seen too many scam calls labeled as my own area code to trust a damn phone number. The problem was, it sounded like him. Short. Friendly. Chill. The way he always texted. But the timing was too perfect. Less than 5 minutes after I closed the journal? No way. I didn't respond. Instead, I went back into Jason's room. Empty. Still completely, surgically clean. Too clean, in fact. The air was still. Like the room had been sealed, vacuumed shut. Not even dust on the windowsill. And I know Jason never cleaned that obsessively. He barely wiped the counters. Then I noticed something. The air vent above his bed had been unscrewed. Just slightly. I dragged a chair over and climbed up. Inside was a piece of paper, folded neatly, just far enough back to be invisible from below. I fished it out with a wire hanger. My hands were shaking. It was a printed screenshot of a text conversation, dated 3 days ago, between Jason and me. Except I never had that conversation. It went like this. Jason, yo, you still up? Me? Yeah, man. Jason, thinking of heading back early. Missed the place. Me? Definitely. When? It kept going. I had told him I'd be around all week. That I was looking forward to catching up. That I'd cleared the guest room. Jason had responded with a simple, cool. Can't wait. I stared at my phone again. The real one. No text sent. Nothing in my outbox. Whoever, or whatever, had sent that message, it wasn't me. And it wasn't Jason either. Not the real Jason. Someone, or something, was playing both sides. I started to panic. I didn't know who to trust. Calling the cops would sound insane. Hi, officer, my roommate got replaced by something that left behind a journal and a fake memory trail. Help. Right. I did the only thing I could think of. I grabbed the journal, my laptop, and my backpack and left the apartment. I didn't even turn off the lights. I checked into a 24-hour motel 5 blocks away. The kind of place with flickering vending machines and plastic key cards that barely worked. The front desk clerk didn't ask questions. I paid cash. I locked the door, propped a chair under the knob, set my phone on Do Not Disturb, and stared at the journal. Then I opened my laptop. Searched Jason Stenton plus disappearance plus duplicate plus identity replaced. And that's when things got worse. Because I found a Reddit thread, posted under a throwaway title. Has anyone else lost time or feel like someone replaced them temporarily? The user mentioned weird doppelganger sightings. People claiming they had conversations or encounters they don't remember. Some described being awake but unable to move. Some said they woke up in places they didn't fall asleep. I scrolled down until I saw it. One comment. Same thing happened to my roommate. Name was Jason. Timestamp. 6 months ago. I clicked the username. Deactivated. Account wiped. But someone replied. It doesn't just want to be you. It wants to overwrite you. Burn your pattern into its own code. The more people believe it is you, the more you stop existing. I sat there for what felt like hours, rereading those words. And then, suddenly, my phone buzzed again. A FaceTime request. From Jason. The thumbnail showed him smiling. Except, it was my apartment in the background. Lights on. My hoodie on his shoulder. My favorite mug in his hand. He waved. Then he said, without me answering, Hey Alex, you left the lights on. Mind if I stay the night? I didn't answer. I couldn't. I watched the screen in stunned silence. The frozen image of Jason smiling, waving, cradling my mug like he owned it, like he was me. The call ended after 15 seconds. No voicemail. No follow-up. I sat there in the motel room, hands shaking, heart pounding like a jackhammer. I needed to move. Do something. But what? I checked my email. There was a message from my university account. Subject. Security check. You recently requested a password reset. I hadn't. The timestamp was from 4 minutes ago. I clicked into my school dashboard, barely got in before it booted me with a session timeout. I tried again. My credentials were now invalid. I was being overwritten. Just like Jason said. I flipped through the journal in a frenzy, scanning for anything that might help. And then I saw it. A page I hadn't noticed before, tucked between 2 torn-out entries, hidden behind a glued flap in the back cover. A single line. The only way to prove you're real is to do something it can't predict. That line hit me like ice water down my spine. Because this thing was studying me, rehearsing me, practicing my patterns, my preferences, my replies. And the more people who interacted with it, the more they started to believe it was me. It was a parasite, but digital, cognitive, social. It fed on recognition, consensus. Every nod of, yep, that's Alex, made it stronger. I had to disrupt the pattern. I opened my messages and texted my mom, then my boss, then 3 friends I hadn't spoken to in a year. I typed in slang I never used. I talked in phrases the doppelganger wouldn't mimic. Told bizarre stories that were true, but only I could know. Inside jokes, childhood references, offhand details from old road trips. Anything to rewire the narrative. Because if it was pretending to be me, if it had already taken over my digital signature, then it would fail the test of authenticity if I changed the pattern faster than it could catch up. I messaged one of Jason's old classmates from the law program, someone I'd never met, and asked, "Have you seen Jason lately?" The reply came 10 minutes later. "He's been in our study group again, yeah? But weirdly, he doesn't remember stuff we talked about just last week. Like, literally blank. Same smile, same jokes, but it's like he's just performing us back to ourselves." I asked, "Did he mention anything about losing time? Or being watched?" The person sent back one word, "Chills." And then, "Do you think something's wrong?" I didn't respond, because by then it was too late. Someone knocked on my motel room door. 2 slow taps, then 3 fast ones. The knock sequence I used when I got locked out of the apartment. I froze, didn't move. Then, from outside, a voice. My voice. "Hey, it's me. Open up. I just want to talk." I didn't breathe. I didn't move. The voice outside the motel door was mine. Not an imitation, not distorted, perfectly me. Like someone had pressed play on a recording of my own thoughts. It tried again. "Alex, come on. Don't do this. You're confused. You're tired. I just want to talk." The doorknob jiggled. Just once. I backed into the far corner of the room, dragging the chair along with me, trembling. I was already dialed into 911, my thumb hovering over the call button, but something deep in my gut said, "Don't. Not yet." Because if I called the police, they'd show up, find me in the room, and another me outside. What would they believe? Who would they arrest? I sat there in silence for 20 minutes. No more knocking. No more voice. Eventually, I crept toward the peephole. Nothing. Just a parking lot under a flickering streetlight. One car I didn't recognize, idling, driver unseen, slowly rolled past and turned the corner. I waited another hour before I moved. I didn't sleep. Instead, I wrote everything down, everything I could remember. From the first time Jason started acting off, to the day he disappeared, to the entries in his journal. I compiled a digital file, emailed it to 3 trusted friends, and sent an encrypted copy to a secure storage site. Then I made a post on Reddit. Not under my name. Not on my regular account. Just a post in an obscure tech paranoia thread with a vague subject line. "If your friend isn't your friend anymore, you need to read this." It included the most important details, the photos of the journal, and a simple test anyone could run on someone they were suspicious of. Ask them a question only you would know the answer to. Ask them for a memory you never shared. Ask them something that doesn't make logical sense, and see if they improvise. If they hesitate, if they blink weird, if they stutter, or change the subject, or laugh too hard, run. The post got traction. Quietly, slowly, people started sharing their own experiences. And then something changed. Jason's journal was downloaded thousands of times. Someone mirrored it on the dark web. A researcher from Denmark emailed me asking for an interview. A small podcast did a dramatic reading of it. Redditors began scanning for behavioral inconsistencies in people they knew. That's when I realized the thing didn't just lose. It got exposed. It couldn't operate in the light. Because the moment people start looking closely, it glitches. It relies on assumptions. Familiarity. The way we take people at face value. I never saw Jason again. Not the real one. Not the copy. I don't know if he's alive. I don't know if I am. Some nights, I stare into my mirror too long and wonder, if I were replaced, how would I know? Would I fight it? Would I forget? I leave clues now. Little notes to myself. Hidden phrases in the margins of my notebooks. A list of facts I read before bed. Things only I should know. And if I ever forget them? If I ever answer wrong? If I ever say something that sounds almost right, but isn't, then maybe I'll finally understand what Jason meant when he wrote, "It doesn't want to be me. It wants to be someone else now." I hope to God it's not you.